goal is you don't want controversy, and it does happen, and there's not much you can do about it. A lot of people think that 16-inch softball is beer league, but these are highly active, highly competitive, well-tuned athletes, and so that's what happens. We're giving you a little different logo. That's our Chicago Summer Series. So we got an if game. It's like the 7th game of the World Series or the Stanley Cup. This is for the marbles. So leading off, Danny Marston. Flashback won the toss. They'll be home in this game. And I'm going to have to jockey with my lineup cards. I didn't get a chance to switch them over. Of course, Marston, big hit in that come from behind. So thank you. So Signature, their last 2 games so far in this tournament, they've walked somebody off. First the 45s and now Flashback. So the tables are turned now. Flashback has the hammer. And Signature, Marston, he leads off with a base hit the other way. So now whoever wins will be the champion. Signature amazingly resilient in this tournament as they were trailing the 45s as well, and they came back late. And we told you their top is just doing a lot of damage. Mark Manizzi, and that gets through John Zawoski. So Flashback, who played a brilliant 5 innings of defense, the last 2 of the last game, and now here starting off, they don't make a play, and now they got big trouble. Runners on the corners, nobody out. And it was unfortunate the way that game ended. We'll see if Flashback can refocus. Spencer Mahoney. Signature trying to become the 3rd team to win a major event this summer in the Summer Series. And we'll see what happens as this one plays out. So we've had, there's a ground ball to Piscitelli over to Vito. He bobbles it, and that's going to cost them the double play. But they do get the fielder's choice. Meanwhile, Signature jumps up 1-0. So I got to tell you, the last 3 championship games we've done as a part of this Summer Series have been wild ball games. So here's Chris Jordan. Chris hammers a line drive. Mahoney will get to 3rd. Jordan, big turn. They throw it in. But Signature has come out here. Nobody out. 1 out, excuse me. And we got a 1-0 score ready. And here's Dave Navarro. He was involved with that play at 3rd. And there's a ground ball to Piscitelli. He'll go to short way. It does score a run. 2-0 Signature. So that was the situation we talked to there about lefties with great speed. Joe was playing tight on him, but it was an easy fielder's choice. It did accomplish the goal. He did drive in the 2nd run, and here's Matt Manizzi. And there's a little pop-up overhead and out of play. So it's been a long weekend, a lot of good softball, a lot of great games today. So I guess it's only fitting that we went to an if game. So here's Manizzi, takes that pitch deep. Of course, Matt, one of my favorite guys in the context that he always lets the base runner know when he's not swinging. And you could hear him yelling, no, no, no. And there's a ground ball up the middle, and Vito can't handle it. And some of the flashback infielders are, it's like a golf swing. It's almost like a virus. When one guy gets the yips, everybody gets it.
Hey, nobody near you.
So flashback needs to just take a breath and kind of settle down a little bit. And here's Greg Fleming. Dave Navarro will score on any type of base hit to the outfield. He may even score on an infield bobble. Ryan Russ going back, and that's going to be an easy play for Ryan. But in the inning, they plate 2, and they take a lead 2-0.
I said he's out. I knew he was. He's going to make it a baseball year.
So we got 2 big dogs going head-to-head here. And I was so thirsty I didn't even turn the microphone off. So if you heard me swallow a little water there, I apologize. So you're familiar with this flashback lineup after the last game. They didn't change anything. Brian Kearns, Danny Dispenza, and Joe Piscitelli. And I'm going to be curious to see how flashback responds with the bats. They were cruising along at 7-2. Couldn't find the ears on it. Since then, Signature scored the last 10 runs between these 2 teams. Well, 8 runs, excuse me. So here's Brian Kearns. Kearns slaps it up the middle. Mahoney makes the play. And again, that's why we were saying earlier in that first broadcast, Spencer, for a big kid, is very flexible. He was able to reach down, throw on the run, and get Brian Kearns, and it brings up Dispenza. And we did talk before the last game about you got to catch the ball. And there's a bullet. Bounces off a Haas. Dispenza's going to go to second, and he'll make it. So a hard ground ball off the third baseman results in a stand-up double for Dispenza. And brings up Joe Pish. And Pish tries to hit a ground ball down the line, and he's just fixated on coming down this line these last 2 games. And Enrique Munoz did a pretty good job after he came in. Did give up 4. So here's Piscitelli now. If you're flashback, you'd like to get a run and break this string, and now he goes soft the other way. And he's just not swinging with any malice. He's just trying to guide the ball. So now that he's got 2 strikes, we'll see if Joe kind of tries to hit something a little hard up an alley or not. This is the IF game, 2024 SSA Midsummer Classic, 3rd leg of the Chicago Summer Series. Flashback won the TOC, 45s won the North-South, and we'll see who wins the Midsummer. And Pish hits a ground ball up the middle, and Mahoney bobbles it. First and third now. 1 out only, brings up Manzella. Signature won the first game. Flashback went clean through the winner's bracket. And again, we've had so much parity the last couple of years in 16-inch softball. Nobody seems to be able to win 2 in the summer. So Mike Manzella now. Trying to get Flashback on the board. Takes that pitch inside. It was 8-7. Signature walk Flashback off in the bottom of the 7th. And he walks Manzella to load the bases. Mike didn't like it. He wanted to hammer something, brings up Smykowski. With the red-hot Julian Gutierrez on deck. Justin runs real well. Let's see, it's a one-hop bullet at somebody, going to be very difficult to turn. And home plate jumping around.
Come on, Flash, let's go. One out, boy.
One out only here, bases loaded. And there's a strike. Now if you're Justin, you got to swing into a more aggressive approach. And he hammers it, no catch. Safe at first, run scores. Mahoney laid out. He flipped it to second. And the odd thing there was Joe Piscitelli was literally 2 feet away from the bag. Marston elected to try to get the double play. He could have reached out and tagged Pish. Once they get the force out, Pish could have returned to second. Instead, he ran to third and made it. So Gutierrez will get a shot with the tying run at third. Julian's been hitting a lot of hard line drives. And right now they're trying to get Justin to be a little more aggressive with his secondary lead. I believe and that ball's going to drift out of play. And again, Greg Fleming is playing him very tight and toward the line. Julian's biggest gap on the field might be right center, but he's also got a lot of room down that right field line. He's capable of going there. And he pounds it up the middle. Bad hop. Marston bobbles, and we're tied. So we've been talking all weekend about, as an infielder, you can't wait on the ball. Because when you get an extra bounce or two, sometimes the ball will jump up and bite you, and that's what happened there. Danny takes a little half step up there. He would have got a little cleaner hop. And Vito tries to go to the gap. Greg Fleming there at the end of 1-2-2. So it could be the pressure, but both teams' defenses getting a little loose with the ball. And at the end of 1, we're right back where we started, tied. So we're getting a couple of interesting ball games here. These are shaping up. And there isn't a whole lot of separation with these big teams. So 2-2 in the 2. You know, Gio loves his symmetry. So it's going to be Tyler McCulloch, Brian Haas, and Enrique Munoz. We'll see if they hit for Q this early in the game. And McCulloch laces one. Vito can't get to it. Leadoff man, good speed aboard. Brings up Brian Haas. I'm going to get off this line a little bit. He likes to come down this way once in a while. So Brian Haas now, leadoff man on. Tyler McCullough. And there's a line drive. Vito catches it, snap throw, hits him, and goes out of play. And he's going to go back. And he goes back to gets the play there. And that's the kind of play that as a manager you hate, because that's like a quarterback throwing the ball into a tight window, because you got a runner going back standing up, you got a first baseman looking into the sun a little, and you got to somehow thread the ball over the guy's shoulder, and it just becomes a problem. That ball hit McCullough. Just take the out and keep him at first. So here's Enrique Munoz. They are gonna let him swing. And if you're Mike Marasovic now, you want to go hard after Q, because you got the top of the signature lineup coming up. And there's a little fly ball. Ryan Russ will make the catch. Good one-hop throw, 2 outs. It brings up Marston. Now, if you're Tyler McCullough, you're fast, but you're going to score from second on a base hit anyway with 2 outs here. And you got one of your better hitters coming up, Danny Marston, with Mark Menizzi on deck.
Good right there. Good. Good. Hey, so we can play. Good night, Danny.
And these big teams create a problem for you, because it's almost like pick your poison.
20. Good.
So here's Mike Marasovic. Grabs a strike as the wind starts to pick up and howl in a little bit.
Good, Ty. Good.
But Danny's been working a lot of times the middle of the field, and he gets a hit, and that's going to break the tie, 3-2. So Danny Marston stays hot. You know, Danny's an interesting player. He's got a lot of swings, and he's not greedy. So he just reached out, knows the wind's blowing in, flipped it over the infield, no chance for an outfielder to get to it. 3-2, signature reclaims the lead. And Marston is a good 6-7 feet off the bag. Flashback, it's not a team that generally tries to pick you off.
Back.
And Spencer Mahoney on deck. Like I said, it's pick your poison. And Menizzi tries to go the other way. Ryan Russ, long run, makes the catch right in front of the fence.
Always have room. Always have room.
So after an inning and a half, signature 3, flashback 2. Again, the live stream is powered by Gold Rush Gaming. If you're going to put video gaming in your establishment, go with the gold standard. Go with Gold Rush. You can call them at 630-307-0500. And you can email them at inquiries@goldrushgaming.com. Tell them you heard about them on the live stream and that you love the SSA. And please gamble responsibly. So long way to go in this one. You see Ryan Russ checking out the sun. That's why your defense becomes so important. And that throw that deflected allowed McCullough to get to second, where he scored easily on a base hit. On that base hit that Marston scores, McCullough probably gets the third, but he doesn't score.
Because it happened to us in North-South. They gave you that third. They gave you second.
So here's Ryan Russ. So Ryan Russ in there now, trying to get something started. And he slashes a base hit. So Ryan looked like he was having trouble with the sun, short and quick, slapped it over the infield. And that's going to bring up John Zawoski. Anybody else having the frozen issue? Let me know. So, pretty good ball game here. Takes that pitch a little deep. Zawoski takes that pitch. So here's Zoe. I got a feeling that something's going on with Facebook or the internet, because some people are getting freezing and some aren't. So here's Zawoski, and he just hits a roller through the hole. Mahoney couldn't get to it. Good job by Fleming, and that's the kind of throw I'm talking about. Ryan Russ is 1.5 feet away from a bag. There's no benefit to trying to throw behind him. And here's Scotty Vickers, nobody out, first two hitters on. Flash trailing by a run here, bottom of the second. And Scotty Vickers, and there's a ball. And it looks like Steph McLaren has grabbed a bat. And he is going to maybe hit. And he punches it the other way. McCullough gets there. And Ryan tags and gets the third. Runners on the corner. Good job by Tyler McCullough. So that ball was sinking. Vickers hit a pretty nice ball, but McCullough can run. Slid underneath it. Threw a strike to the cutoff man. And it brings up the pinch hitter, Steph McLaren. Steph runs pretty good. He does play a lot of outfield. And that pitch is outside. Top of the lineup, Brian Kearns on deck. And that ball's a little deep. I think Q is trying to get it up in the sun. And there he flattens out, but he hits the plate, 3-0. It's one pitch away here from walking the bases full. My guess is McLaren might be taken here. He is. And it just does get in there, 3-1. And he slashes that to Manizzi over to second for one, safe at first. They tie the game up at 3 here in the second inning, and it brings up Brian Kearns.
Hey, good drive, 2 out. 2 out, Steph.
They are playing Kearns kind of shallow. If Brian hits a hard line drive into the gap, the carousel's going to start. And there he slashes it. McCullough gets there, makes the catch, but Flash matches signature. They throw up a run in the third, and we head to the third, 3-3 in the third.
Out here.
Symmetry, baby. So right now these teams are trading jabs. So Mike Marasovic has come back in. We'll keep an eye on that as we're only in the third. Now John Zawoski can pitch and has pitched. So if they want to go that route and hit for him a second time, McLaren would just stay in the game at that point. And then we'd see what they would do. They do have Shane Lawler as a first baseman, and we've actually seen Justin Smykowski play a little first base. So Spencer Mahoney leading off. And he cuts a ball, and that's way out of play. Chris Jordan on deck, and then Dave Navarro. So Mike Marasovic working hard. Of course, Mike was a co-MVP last year. Spencer drives it down the line. Now it kicks, and it goes out of play. It'll be a ground rule double. That ball was heading out of bounds. Ryan went into a slide. And that's where the short fence, we've talked about that this summer, does not go all the way down like in a lot of parks. And with that inside-out swing, it had that spin. It hit the grass, and it was going to roll out of play either way. So leadoff man on for Chris Jordan. And you can tell every pitch, these pitchers are really trying to be perfect. There's a ground ball to Smykowski. And Justin's really been struggling over there at second base. And now it's first and third, nobody out. He got there good, got a good hop, just dropped it. And Justin normally got very good, strong hands. And I've seen him play short center in the infield before, so just having one of those days, I guess. And the speedster line drive, double play. He tried to beat Mike Marasovic up the middle. And everybody trying to get the edge. Spencer's laughing. Line drive, hit Mike Marasovic around his right hip. He held on. And now, after having runners on the corner and nobody out, they can get Matt Menizzi out. They could wiggle off of a big hook. So we'll see if that gets Flashback out of their defensive doldrums. And there he guides it over Pish. Big two-out hit for Matt Menizzi. And Signature takes a 4-3 lead. They've been playing with the lead all game. They've been tied, but they have not been behind. Top of the third here, Greg Fleming. Matt Menizzi there, just he got a pitch up high. And there's a chopper to Vickers. And nice scoop by Zawoski. As now we got a little cloud that sun wants to tuck behind a tree. Flashback's been climbing uphill this entire game. And they're going to have the top of their lineup, or two-hitter, I should say, Danny Dispenza, Joe Piscitelli, and Mike Manzella, trailing by one here. And I tell you, both teams have bobbled a few ground balls now. It'll be interesting to see if either team just decides that's what they're going to try to do. But
Come on, boys. Come on, Danny. Stay hot.
so Dispenza, Piscitelli, and Manzella. And now with the cloud coverage and the wind blowing, it's a dramatic drop in the temperature from what we've had all weekend. So here's Dispenza. And Dispenza right at Marston, and he can't make the play. It's been like the Bermuda Triangle over on that right side of the infield. Everybody having issues. And again, fast infield, strong hitters, a lot of top spin on the ball, and it is hitting the carpet and biting these guys. And Pish drives it down the line. Fair ball. Dispenza. Oh, that ball went off of Brian Haas.
No way. No way.
Oh, that ball bounced off of Haas. That ball went over the bag fair. And Brian Haas had a look of like, don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
And I think I got that on tape. You guys can look at that and chime in.
Come on, pitch.
And I sure thought it went over the bag fair, certainly hit in fair territory. And I do think that that ball was deflected by Brian Haas.
That's okay. That's okay.
It was over the base. It was over the base.
It was inside the bag. That's what I thought. We got people checking in saying that it was definitely touched.
That was his answer. No, seriously. I don't yell. I just tried. You gotta ask. He didn't know it hit your hand. That's the only reason why I asked.
That was a fair ball. Brian Haas.
You're about 0 for 9.
Brian Haas, when they called it foul, kind of had a look like, oh well. So Signature catching some breaks. And what should have been a first and third situation with nobody out is a one-out situation.
One down, here we go.
Well, Mark, I got to disagree. That ball hit fair, and it went off of Brian Haas, who touched it. And that's a fair ball because Haas was not even at the foul line at that point. Umpire thought and told them that he thought it took a crazy bounce to the left. And it did because of the deflection. So Manizzi can't catch it on a double play. Keeps the inning alive. So that's going to bring up Justin Spikowski. And again, these are two good umpires, so it's unusual that you see this many close calls like this. But if you're Flashback and you think you've been wrong, there's two ways you can go. You can complain and get distracted, or you can come out and play. And Mark Manizzi, and there's a bobble, but apparently they feel like he recovered in time. So what should have maybe been a run-scoring inning goes by the wayside. Well, again, Gene, because of the sun, I just happen to be over here. So two, let's call them controversial plays. We had a little better look at it, but if I was at my normal spot at first base, we wouldn't have seen either one of them.
You're right.
So here we go, back live. Sorry, I got a little, as you can tell, frog in my throat. brings up Tyler McCulloch.
Come on, Kurt. Play, boys.
And this is just taking a little of the flow out of the game. And again, these are, and another guy shooting a ball at Gio at third. Very interesting. Last night, Brian Kearns fired a couple of balls at me. He actually came up and apologized. And I said, no, I'm on the field. You do what you got to do. And McCullough sweeps a hit the other way. So the interesting thing about Signature is they do have a lot of guys that will take that low pitch or flatter type pitch, and they will just guide it over the infield. They don't have that many true over-the-top cutter types. And it seems like every time Moji throws them something a little flatter and shorter, they just reach out and poke it over the infield. So leadoff man on, good speed, and here's Haas. And he just guides it. And that's what I mean. That was a flatter pitch. You know, as a pitcher, you got to start maybe getting a little more air under the ball and make them move their hands into a different plane on the swing. So first two hitters on.
Good right there. Good right there. Good.
Chris Peculias. Little ground ball. Vickers.
What?
They get the fielder's choice. Vickers recovered to get the fielder's choice. And it brings up the top of the lineup. So they hit for Enrique Munoz. And it brings up Danny Marston. Runners on the corner now with one out. And there's a little ground ball over to second for one. Signature does score a run. And they go up by 2. And Danny Marston was going the other way all the way there, was almost running toward first on the contact, easily beat out the relay. And here comes Mark Manizzi.
Danny in front of you. Back.
So here's Mark Manizzi. And again, if you're Flashback, you got plenty of game left, but it seems like they came into the game a little distracted by how the first championship game ended, and they're and he hits a line drive right over the base. He knocked it down. It prevents Marston from coming all the way to third, but it brings up Spencer Mahoney. So Gibbs is going to come out now and talk. So again, you know, right now Signature has caught a couple of breaks. They've taken advantage of them. And right now they're just a little bit more focused than Flashback. And this is a big hitter. Should Spencer hit something in the gap here, they could push out to a 3 or a 4 run lead.
Good, Danny.
And they are plenty deep. Mark Manizzi might score from first. Brian Kearns, I think, is a little shallow in center.
Good pitch, Moach. Good.
Danny Dispenza is relatively deep.
20. Good.
So we'll see if this is the unintentional intentional walk. And there's a strike, and that's the type of pitch Moji needs to get, that little higher pitch more toward the back foot. And there he flattens out, and Joe Pish makes a great play to prevent a run from scoring. But now the bases are loaded for Chris Jordan. And we've seen Chris turn and burn down that right field line. If he hits a line drive there, it's going to clear the bases. If Dispenza can't cut it off, could even be more. Comes back with a strike. So Moji grabbed a good first strike on Mahoney. Then he flattened out, and Mahoney made him pay. And there's a ball pounded. If it's fair, it's trouble. Fair ball. We told you he can turn and burn down the line. That's going to be a grand slam for Chris Jordan. Chris Jordan, cross breeze or not, airmailed one down the line fair for a grand slam. John Zawoski, the first baseman, isn't complaining. But again, another situation where Mike Marasovic flattened out a little bit. He did not make Jordan raise his hands at all. It was right in the sweet spot, and he gave it a ride. And that brings up Navarro. Flashback suddenly finds itself down 6. And Navarro's another guy. He likes that low pitch. He just has a sweep swing a lot. So some of these hitters Mike might not be very familiar with, but guys like Spencer and the rest of them, he is. And after the broadcast, we'll be presenting the MVP award named after George Bliss. And it just taps the plate. Moji was walking off. He thought it cleared. He thought he had a strikeout, but I thought I heard a thump. And he's going to make a change here. Shane Lawler is going to go in. They're going to change pitchers. John Zawoski is going to come in and pitch. Shane Lawler is going to go to first. And I would assume, of course, he's going to go into Moji's slot. Now they're going to move the pieces, and Julian Gutierrez is going to come catch unless they took Manziel out. I don't know why they do that. Two outs here. And again, that's what happens. Sometimes you start rolling through a loser's bracket and Signature riding a lot of momentum with back-to-back walk-off wins. And, back when they had a little different group when they were Windy City, they were notorious for coming through the loser's bracket. And Danny Dispenza, again, very shallow in right field. Matt actually has a lot of pop toward that gap over there, but he's been working the left side. He must just feel more comfortable today doing that. So an eerie hush has come over the park here as all of a sudden it's 9-3, everybody catching their breath. I don't know, Mark, it's a good question. All I know is when I've seen Signature, everybody's been contributing and pounding the ball. So I wouldn't want to be the manager trying to pick one guy out. But like I said, I didn't see all their games. So they may feel like one guy may have been the reason they're here. And not being in front of the game changer, I don't really know what these guys are doing or hitting this weekend. But I would imagine they got plenty of candidates. And Menizzi does go to right center, but he doesn't get it. Dispenza makes the catch. Halfway through, 9-3 in the if game. So if you're Flashback, you got time. We're only in the bottom of the fourth. But they need to get going. And again, they look like they were. It's just funny how momentum is in the bottom of the third. If Piscitelli's ball gets called fair, that's a different looking inning. And then Signature kind of rides the momentum, and they push a few across. Big blow last half inning, of course, the Chris Jordan Grand Slam, and I know he's got at least 2 in the tournament. So that home run leaderboard going to look a little different next week when me and Jerry Brown do the wrap-up show. So it's Julian Gutierrez, Vito Iovino, and Ryan Russ. And right now, if you're Flash, you just want to get your best ball. And there's a ground ball. So it seems like when guys hit the ball hard on the ground, they're finding their way on base. And Julian, a lefty, hit that ball right between Haas and Mahoney. It would have been a tough play for Mahoney. And Vito goes to center, but it carries all the way out to Navarro for out number 1. Yeah, he's not a ground ball guy, but Vito's got that weird over-the-top swing where he does drive the ball through the infield once in a while. So here's Ryan Russ now. And Ryan goes down the line. McCullough won't get it. Gutierrez will get the third. So Ryan Russ playing great defense, pitching in with some hits. And now they got runners on the corner here. And here comes John Zawoski. So here's Zawoski. Scott Vickers on deck, and then I imagine it'll be Shane Lawler. And there's a little flip shot. And right now, Navarro not that deep. McCullough straight away and right. Fleming straight away and left. Zoe didn't like that call. He felt like it was a little inside and a little deep, but you know, Q's doing a good job. He's not flattening out too much to these flashback hitters, and there's a real high pitch. And what he's done is he's forced Zawoski to move back in the box. And if you're a pitcher and you see a guy move back a step or two, that's when you want to throw him flat outside. And Zoe reaches out. Fleming gets there. Died in that breeze. They do score a run to make it 9-4. So here's Scotty McVicker. Or Vickers. Well, Steph is still in the game. Oh, yeah, he went into Moji's slot. So, who did Shane go in for? Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, that makes sense. And Brian Haas that was close. He rounded that off. He rounded that off. So that throw he airmailed over the fence, that would have been a huge play there. 2 outs here. McVicker trying to get it to McLaren. And he hits a short one hopper, and Mahoney makes the play. So it'll be McLaren and then the top of the lineup in the 5th. Flashback, though, needs to find a way to get a goose egg.
That's what I thought.
So the Flashback guy's not too happy. Oh yeah, he is, Mark. It's nothing against Brian at all. You know, it was just that was a tough play and right over the bag, and he was a little off balance. So the fact that it was called foul. And there's a slasher. Zawoski makes the play for out number 1. So I think Signatures just had the better approach in this ball game. They're making Flash's infield work. And of course, no Joey Agarto, which really shifts things because Joe Piscitelli would be probably at third. Mike Myers got a bump finger, and Mike a tremendous defensive second baseman. So when you start missing pieces, sometimes you get uneven defensive play. So here's a McCullough with 1 out here. And Brian is a versatile infielder as well. We've seen him play short, third, up the middle, first.
Here we go, die.
And of course, if you're Signature, you can't get happy that you're up a fin, because Flash does have a good offense, and if they start stringing stuff together, they can erase a 5-run lead in a hurry. And there's a swing. He sweeps it. That ball hooks right back to Kearns. Started out toward right center and just banana peeled its way back for out number 2. Speaking of Brian Haas, here he is. 2 outs, nobody on. And the pitcher, Enrique Munoz, due to hit. I think they might have hit for him already, but they got nobody with a bat in his hand, and Haas just dumps another hit. And again, same thing, flattened out. got a pitch just above the waist and just kind of popped it over the infield. So they will let Q hit. And Flashback's had a problem with the top of the signature lineup in both of these games.
Yeah.
And there's a cut by Zawoski right on the top of his shoes. So Flashback gets something they desperately needed, which was a 1-2-3 goose egg. We'll see if they get any juice out of it. We head to the bottom of the fifth, and they trail by 5. So it's going to be Steph McLaren as he re-enters the game. And then the top of the lineup, Brian Kearns, Danny Dispenza. Anybody gets on, Joe Piscitelli. So the sun is no longer an issue for the infielders.
Hey, box up. I got you.
And here's
Time to change. Let them stand wherever the fuck they want. I told you right when I started. Bobby, it's our my fault for fucking being here. Bobby, if you don't want to disrespect, I'm football hits it. I agree with that.
So here's McLaren, and he hits a high fly ball, and that's going to sit. And Steph will stop, and now he's going to try to go, and he'll make it. So he beat Navarro. He made a valiant effort. He dove, and he reached out. Hope he didn't hurt a shoulder or an arm. I can't really see. As they're going to go take a look at him. And they're waving a little bit. I don't know what happened. He laid out for it, and he had one hand extended.
Yeah, right.
And leadoff triple. Now, if you're Flashback, you're down 5. You don't want Kearns giving himself. I'm sorry, folks. And now he's kind of sitting there. And he's going to stay in the ball game. He may have knocked the wind out of him, but he is walking a little gingerly. So we'll come back into the infield. Leadoff triple. It was a great effort. It looked like he got beat there. And now, I don't know, Spencer's bringing him a towel. He might have a bloody nose. So he might have face planted in the... He might have face planted, and they're giving him a towel. He'll put it on his back belt buckle. Or he might have tore up a... Might have banged his teeth and maybe bit himself. I don't know if it's a nose or his mouth. So a little delay. We're getting a little bit of everything in this game. And I hope I got enough battery to get us through it. So here's Brian Kearns. And again, if you're Flash, you want Kearns to get a hit. And there's a roller to Mahoney. And he was looking at the runner. And he can't make the play. Everybody's safe. That's a good example. If you're Spencer there, just take the out. McLaren did not break. just grabbed the out, but he peeked up, and that's when he bobbled the ball, and here's Dispenza. And Dispenza rips one, and he gets through Matt Menizzi. And Dispenza ripped it through Matt Menizzi at first. Run scored. And now second and third, nobody out, 9-5. And here's Joe Piscitelli. Manzella on deck. And Pish, a ground ball to Haas. He looks him back, throws him out. Again, I'm baffled that Pish keeps trying to come down this line. And with second and third, that's the one place you don't want to hit the ball. And Joe can go the other way. I'm not sure why he's just continues to try to come this way. So here's Manzella with Smykowski on deck. And Manzella hits a little roller, and they'll get an out. Another run scores, 9-6. And that's why not moving the runners on the previous hitter hurt you, because you would have had 2 runs. It would have been 9-6.
Hey, big ball right here, Jay.
And I got to tell you, Justin's capable of turning and burning himself. Tyler McCullough is not that deep. If he pulls a Chris Jordan, he could get a 2-run homer. So 9-6, Flash has cut into the lead here. And that ball's going to be out of play. I'm pretty fond of the idea that every game comes down to about 5 plays. And you either make your life easy or you make it hard. And the 5 plays can be anything from turning a double play, advancing a guy, throwing to the right base. So in a game like this, where you're fighting uphill, and Smykowski right at Spencer, so the failure to move the runners cost Flash a run. They're trailed by 6 as we head to the top of the, or 9-6 as we head to the top of the 6th. So, like I said, it's little things like that that make the difference between winning and losing. And it's one thing if you got some of these bigger hitters that really aren't very good at going the other way, but we've seen Joe Pish get hits the other way. Got a big hit the other day as he punched the line drive between the first and second baseman. So we know he can do it, but for some reason he's just focused on pulling the ball down this left field line. So they're going to leave Shane Lawler at first. They were going to put Steph McLaren at second, but they changed their mind after talking about it. And here comes the top of the signature lineup. 2 innings to go in this one, 9-6. And Danny Marston goes down, fly ball. And that might be one of the first times they've gotten Marston out in these 2 games. And I tell you, when he was a young kid before he went to the 45s, I wanted him bad on Mudville, but Alan Mills, good friends with Ronnie Kubicki, who worked at the Hodgkins Park District, as a young kid, he ran the scoreboard out there in the Pro League. Here's Mark Menizzi. And he ended up at the 45s, and then after 1 year, he went to Impact, and of course, Allen was on Impact, and so you can't win that friend battle with recruiting, but I always thought he was going to be a good one. So here's Mark Menizzi. Oh, sorry. And he dumps it in front of Kearns. Thanks for the heads up, chicken. Well, Pat, what I like is when I see a guy wearing one of them golf visors and they're bald. Now that's a tan. So here's Mahoney, runner on first here, 9-6. And he goes high. He was trying to turn and burn. Dispenza's there. And Mark Menizzi wasn't going to challenge the arm of Danny Dispenza. Brings up Chris Jordan, hit that bomb. And now Danny, well, he's really not moving back that much. Where he's playing right now, Chris could very well airmail a 2-run homer if he hits it in the same spot. But again, you can't flatten out to this kid. He's got a quick bat. He's got good hip rotation, loads the hands, generates a lot of power.
Gotta go.
He hits a ground ball, and Zawoski has made a couple of great plays up the middle, back-to-back goose eggs, and they turn the lights on. So we head to the bottom of the 6th, 9-6. So Flash now, they got 6 outs to play with to Signature's 3. They do have the hammer, and we'll see what happens here in this inning. So it's going to be Julian Gutierrez, Vito Iovino, and Ryan Russ. Of course, Eki and Chicken, good friends. See, they're having a little fun on the comment section. We hope you're enjoying the broadcast, folks, and we hope wherever you are, it's not freezing up on you. Don't know what's been causing that, but so here's Julian Gutierrez. And Julian's been the one Flash guy that has pounded the ball through the infield and has pretty much stayed out of the air a little bit. And there he rips it and base hit. So Julian's been wearing that hole out on the ground. Leadoff man on. And here's Vito. So here's Vito. Julian Gutierrez, he takes that pitch deep.
Get yours, Vito. Get yours.
Glad you've been joining us. And there he guides it. Navarro a few steps back, makes the catch on the back pedal.
Let's go, Dave.
And here comes Ryan Russ. He's got a couple of hits the other way. Tyler McCullough is trying to bait him. He's short, but he's leaning in like he's going to be ready to come flying in if he goes that way. And Ryan Russ to Haas. High throw, can't make the play. Can't make the play. High throw. Marston couldn't handle it. Mark Menizzi, tremendous, got behind there. Julian was about to take a step toward third. And what you saw was defensive awareness as Spencer rotated over and covered third. If Spencer was a spectator there, Julian would have been able to walk into third. So with one out here, Flashbacks put a couple of runners on for Zawoski. And there's a little lazy fly ball. And Zoe is another guy that's capable of going the other way. In that situation, you'd like to see him try to get a hit the other way so he could maybe, if he mishits a fly ball, you at least get a guy to third. And the way both infields have been playing, you might pick up a cheap one. So here's Scott Vickers. And it looks like Mike Myers may be pinch hitting as they've used a lot of guys in that 11 hole today. And if you're Q, he might be thinking that Scotty Vickers is a little more dangerous, and he reaches for a ball and he strikes out. So with 2 strikes, he doesn't keep it fair. He reached for a low pitch and he pushed it foul. So Flash looked like they were going to have an opportunity. A couple of guys got on base, never moved them.
Sorry, buddy. I meant to put him in the dugout.
So we head to the top of the 7th, 9-6. Flashback needs to get their 3rd consecutive goose egg to give themselves an opportunity to potentially come back and tie or win the game. This happened last week at the North-South. High Y walked off the 45s in the first game, and then the 45s in the bottom of the 10th returned to favor, a couple of instant classics. And those games are pinned to the top of our Facebook page. So here's Dave Navarro, and he pops it up. Ryan Russ called it all the way. Infield was so shallow, Joe Pish got out there, but he wasn't going to get to it. And that's a good pitch. Moji got it on the inner half. Might have been a ball inside. He tried to flip it inside out, popped it up. So here's Matt Menizzi. Flashback is going to stay at the top of the team standings with the points they accumulated. Signature will be win or lose, will be moving up.
Good idea.
45s will still be at the top there. And we'll see how the rest of it shakes out a little bit. As Flashback's been one of the more consistent teams now, as they're playing in 2 championships and a 4th place last weekend. So here's Mark Menizzi now, 1 out. And John Zawoski's done a nice job, not only pitching, but he's made a couple of fantastic plays up the middle, and that's going to be foul.
Hey. Go, pick one out now.
And I got to tell you, Danny Dispenza, not very shallow, but shallow for a guy with the pop that Matt has. So is Kearns. If he goes hard to right center, he might run until Tuesday.
Watch it all the way to
And he goes the other way to Smikowski, handles that one, and Shane Lawler got handcuffed. It was a good throw. Looked like Shane was going to try to catch that ball with his hands underneath. And the throw was off of his left hip, and he couldn't adjust the hands. Here's Greg Fleming. So both infields been struggling on ground balls. And Greg tries to go the other way. Lawler by the fence, can't make the catch. He might have had a shot at that. I think he needed to be maybe a step closer toward home plate than he was. So he got to the fence, and then he had to reach over toward his right and didn't have the wingspan. So new life for Greg Fleming. And now he pops it up, this time foul the other way.
Come on, Greg, come on. Find a hole.
So,
Find a hole.
Tyler McCullough on deck. And I'm going to get my little plug out. I got my battery on the Flashback bench.
Back! Throw him out, Blue.
Just in case this game goes long, I'll be clicking off. George Bliss, I believe, is still in the house somewhere. And there's a towering, and that's going to be a strikeout. So 2 outs. And not quite sure why Greg was trying to go down the right field line. And sometimes guys will hit foul balls on purpose. They want to see what outfielders are doing. I'd like to work the gaps and the center portion of the field more than the foul line, so I didn't. And there's a towering fly ball. Kearns is there, and he puts it away. Do or die 7th. Flashback needs 3 to continue. 4 wins the title. Anything less, and Signature will become the 3rd team to win a major tournament this summer. So Mike Myers is going to pinch hit. Then he'll be the top of the lineup. So, been a long weekend. I got 38% of my battery. So if the game ends, and I gotta talk real quick here to my friend George Bliss. I'll be right back. So Mike Myers, a slow roller. Haas comes flying in to throw to first in time. So that ball was just hugging the ground. Haas handled it clean, and he gets Meyer by a half a step. So Brian Haas makes the play. 2 outs away from the title now is Signature. Flashback needs a couple of base runners to be dangerous. And that pitch is a strike. That ball off the plate. And that ball's going to drift foul, so Kern's with 2 strikes now. You got the Danny Dispenza on deck and then Joe Piscitelli. So Flashback looking for a couple of base runners here down to their last 2 outs. Brian Kearns gets a break on that illegal call, anything above 12. And now he tries to throw a fastball, illegal, full count to Kearns. Little cat and mouse here between the hitter and the pitcher. Kearns goes up in the air, Navarro will get to it. He bobbled it just for a little bit, but 2 outs. And that's going to bring up Danny Dispenza. Flashback down to their last out here. Trying to keep the game alive here. And Dispenza hits a little bobble throw in the dirt, not in time. So Dispenza went up the middle. Mark Manizzi had a slight bobble on it. Threw accurately, 1 hop, not enough. So here's Joe Piscitelli. Flash needs another base runner. So Shane Lawler is taking a swing. Apparently they put him in Mike Manzella's spot. There's a line drive, fair ball down the line. And they're not going to send him. I think he might have been okay. And now it's Shane Lawler. If you're a Flashback fan, you'd like to see Shane get on deck and have Justin lose one. So Sal wants to check how many conferences he's had. And I would think if you're Flashback, you don't want to see Smykowski up there. Because Justin he doesn't have to go over the top of you. He can hit the ball hard into an alley. Now, if your signature's infield, you're not worried about the base runners. The slowest guy on base, both of these guys can run. The slowest guy in this trio between Dispenza, Piscitelli, and Lawler is Shane Lawler. So I'm sure Sal was telling him, look, if he hits a ground ball, you have all kinds of time. And that ball hits the plate. Now, if you're Q, you don't want to walk him. Because then a long stretch single. So you don't want to walk him. Will Russell come in and run for Shane Lawler. They've used about 90 guys in there. And Shane pounds it up the middle. Bobble! Shane Lawler, everybody safe! Good hustle by Piscitelli. And Joe Pish rubbing that cheek. Marston, I don't know if he was thinking he was just going to come back and tag the bag. Will Russ is on. tying run at first, winning the box. And here's Justin Smykowski. Now, Justin's a devastating hitter from about mid-thigh to just above the belt. Does have a tendency to reach on occasion. Now you got to be disciplined. And on deck is Julian Gutierrez. Now, if you're Justin, you got to put a good swing on it here. And he flares one. Long run, Mahoney, and Signature comes all the way through the losers bracket. They become the third team to win a Chicago Summer Series event. Holy mackerel, folks. What an effort. So we'll be back with the MVP and everything else. We're going to have George Bliss here do a little talking.
Yeah, Cameron, thank you, Gio. And I'm proud to do the post game here. As an incredible game there by Sal Malazzo's team. Came back tough against the 45s, came tough here. Didn't give up. Everybody played good for the Signature team. This is great softball, folks. Final score 9-6. As Signature does double dip, comes out of the losers bracket this morning. Wow. Wow. So, post game here, it's George Bliss live. Thanks to Gio for handing me over the camera. There's Bobby Russ, the second place banner. Get off of this, right? Yeah. So, there's the winners over there, Signature. Signature's going to come up now, the winners. There's 57, their big first baseman. National Championship Series. There's Jeff Baytall on his knee. Where's Sal? There's Sal. There's number 3. Incredible. They're playing some very good music in the background as they take pictures, still pictures. So here's going to be the MVP.
The George Bliss Award.
Yeah, well, say it loud. So here's Teddy.
George Bliss Award MVP.
Teddy, you're going to give it, right? All right.
Right here. Here we go.
Go over there. Give him the award.
So Danny Marston over there. So Danny Marston, the MVP, named after George Bliss. So there you go.
Danny Marston.
So Danny Marston, Signature becomes the third team to win a major event. We have yet to get anybody win 2. And that's going to wrap up our coverage. We'll have pictures later on for all of you guys up on the board. And, of course, we'll be doing the wrap-up show next week, me and Jerry Brown. So on behalf of the SSA, thanks for checking in. There's the man that the MVP award is named after.
Good luck to Danny Marston.
So Danny Marston's your MVP. Signature comes back. They double dip Flash. We'll talk to you soon. On behalf of Gold Rush Gaming, Sweet Buzz, this is Gio saying I got to go get a steak.